Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome to Stretford Paddock. I am Adam McCullough. Alongside me today is none other than Mr. Boovy himself, Mr. Manchester City, of course. Make sure you subscribe into his channel. The link is in the description below. Boovy, big smile on your face. I live.
You're right, mate. You know what I mean? I feel like the last few results for United, and then obviously City still winning. It's just making life a dream, really, mate. It's class.
It is for you, I guess, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But obviously, thank you for joining us today. Great to get you on the show. Obviously, love sitting alongside you at the kickoff sometimes, because I'm not gonna lie, I've sussed you out here, Booze. I've sussed you out, but you still catch me all the time. You still I still bite onto the bait sometimes, but I have sussed you out, and I do enjoy it when you get the others. So yeah, it's great having you on the kickoff as well.
You know what I mean?
You're in a great position to be taking the piss, to be fair. As a Manchester United fan, obviously, after the last couple of results, it feels like the title race is over. As a Manchester City fan, obviously, because you're a City fan, do you feel like a few bad results and it could still be dodgy, or do you feel the same?
Look, in this Premier League, I think it is done because obviously, look, let's be real. You've been Man United are the closest sort of challengers. Obviously, you were the last team except City to be top of the Premier League, and ultimately, you have semi-bottled it. You have semi-bottled it in terms of the win record. It isn't good enough. I'm not sitting here as a Man City fan expecting Man United to be at the exact same level in terms of the transition that you're currently in with the manager, the setup that you've got. I'm not expecting you to win 21 games in a row like we have. But ultimately, it has the Palace game, the Sheffield United game, the Everton game. It is poor, isn't it? It is poor. And obviously, we're going into the derby, and it's probably one of the best times ever to go to and play Man United in a derby in terms of the confidence being so low, because ultimately, the confidence isn't low because of a major injury, or the confidence is low because of a sort of a crisis or anything. You've got a fully fit team, except a couple of players, and they're just not performing. And that's why it's so exciting as a City fan. And that's why I'm not worried really about the Premier League title race. I think that's done. I think if you're talking about the Champions League, it's different. Of course it is. But the Premier League, I think, is probably done and dusted in it now.
I mean, which wouldn't surprise me given the way we are, even if we were to beat you on the weekend, it's still done. Yes, you might have all people going, is our City going to wobble here? But ultimately, I think we've dropped way too many points. City have obviously that even if we had won a few of those games, City's run has been relentless, 21 wins in a row. It's like, no other team could have kept up with that, especially in this season as well, where there are so many fixtures and there are so many games every couple of days. And I suppose Manchester United looked tired against Palace. Now, I'll speak about that a little bit later and how I think, Bruno playing against Thingy, Real Sociedad in the second leg. Why? Because then he probably don't look as tired. So there are things where we could have got around that, and I'm not excusing the performance against Palace or dropping points against Sheffield, but you can understand fatigue in a game or two. But I think generally over the last couple of weeks, we've just failed to really create anything. And yes, we missed Paul Pogba, and you can use that as an excuse in some games, but against Palace, against Sheffield United, against West Bromwich Albion, I think you have to have a lot more about you. And I think, resting Bruno a little bit over the season. I know people will say, he wants to play and all this kind of stuff, but you kind of have to save him from himself. And I think resting him every now and then would have helped us in terms of maybe having a fresher Bruno or Marcus Rashford being a bit fresher. And I think that's where City at the moment, me and Ronnie were looking at your bench yesterday on the review for one of the games, and it's like your squad's really coming into full effect now as well, isn't it?
It's scary, really, mate. It is scary. And you look at the Wolves game and you're thinking Phil Foden didn't really play. You're seeing Aguero on the bench, didn't really. Gundogan is coming in and out the side, probably the best player in this calendar year for the club, and he's not even needed. That's the thing. He's not even needed. It's not about form or anything like that. We've got so many players in form. I'd say it's about 15, 16 City players that they could all start in the first 11. Obviously, Ederson's the only one that's the constant. Everyone else could change. And we're very, very lucky, ultimately. We've spent a lot of money. Obviously, I'm aware of the fact that we got there with money. There's there's a lot of balance in that squad because we've got 3 or 4 world-class players in every position. Of course we do. But ultimately, I do look at United and think, regardless of the fatigue, look, City are fatigued, 100%. We've not had a break, and we're running at such a pace against Wolves in the final 20 minutes. The players were so, what's the word? Kind of, they were crazed. They were sprinting at Wolves in every angle, pressing the ball high to get back into the game after the Connor Cody header. Even, I just think Man United's system doesn't seem like a system that's kind of easy to play in. I feel like it's a lot of energy to get any chances, whereas City is it's like a machine. I don't think Ollie's got that sort of system yet.
City create. I think there's been periods and obviously games where we've created a lot. So this isn't to say that. And I think, yes, against Palace we had a fair few amount of shots. Just they weren't very good, and they were from weird positions. We don't create enough. And I think when you look at someone like Gabriel Jesus or Aguero or Sterling or these guys in a game, they'll have 3-4 chances each. And like, we're coming out of games thinking, fucking hell, we had 2 chances there, should have scored them. And it's like, yeah, you can be a lot more clinical at times and take your chances, but you've got to be able to create more. And I think with the midfield that we've got, it's more often than not Fred and McTominay. Against Palace, it was Fred and Matic. Like, I just feel Matic, if he was 5 years younger, plays on his own in that position. And Fred, I don't think, has the quality to be able to play the ball through the final thirds. And when you look at your team, if we take out Pogba from our team, Bruno Fernandes and all those guys at top ain't getting no service from that midfield. Like, whereas if you look at City's, they've all got great passing ability. Now, obviously, I think Pep's tactics and his style of play come into that a lot as well, in terms of the players play. So if your players are tired, they know the patterns that they're going to play anyway. So they're always going to play that same way. And there's always something to fall back on if you're tired and you've lacked that creativity or you lack that energy to make something happen. And when United don't have, like yesterday, we were looking at just Luke Shaw to create something. It was so frustrating. And when Rashford or Bruno can't break down the defense, then we haven't got a regular pattern, including those midfielders that come into it to be able to build up play. And if we do, Fred's not good enough because, or Matic or McTominay or any of these guys in those positions, they're not good enough because the quality on the ball isn't good enough. It's frustrating that we never got Van der Beek into it more. He's injured now, but earlier in the season, he should have played more.
Yeah, 100%, man. I look at Solskjaer. Look, I think Solskjaer's still an unproven manager because I see Guardiola, right? And I think in the first season when he came, he obviously spent tons of money on John Stones, for example, and we got smashed. We got smashed 4-1 at Leicester. I remember the very first season, Monaco banged us in the Champions League. But you were seeing patterns of play that ultimately we were still passing out from the back, even if we were shocking that season. The following season, we got 100 points never seen before in Premier League history. And I think the best Premier League side of all time, but obviously you'd probably debate me on that one. But with Solskjaer, right, you're seeing a transition. Of course you are, from a different kind of setup. But you don't know if he can take you to that next level. That's what I'd be worried about. We're not seeing a transition on a Mourinho or Klopp or even an Alex Ferguson 20 years ago. We're talking about Solskjaer. We don't know if this side can get better. You're saying about winning the league next season, potentially, getting closer. That's a whole season. You had a chance this season to top of the league, and you've not improved. You've not risen to the challenge, have you? In my opinion.
I think we have improved. I think it's unfair to say we haven't improved. I think there has been improvement under Ali. Whether it's the improvement that we hoped for, wanted, or the opposition that presented, the opportunity that presented itself this season, I'm not sure. And there's still, obviously, look, there's still question marks there. But in terms of, I saw a lot of reaction to the game yesterday, and it's always going to be the case on social media where people want the manager out straight away. Now, I think that's a little bit too far, because I think what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has shown over the time since he's been here, look, the progression of youth into the team's got better. The transfers, although I still think there's massive question marks over Maguire, like most of the transfers have been pretty good. So the transfer policy has improved under him, even if the way we conduct our business above him hasn't improved. And I think, obviously what we see on the pitch, okay, the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks have been pretty bad. But what we see on the pitch is generally a lot better. Now, the Champions League, going out of the group stages, that's a black mark on his name there, you know, and potentially dropping some of these points that we have done. But I don't think that's enough to start saying, oh, get the manager out. And I think he has earned, or so far, let's see, you know, obviously the rest of the season, he has earned, I think, the opportunity to be able to get another midfielder, get a centre half, get a right winger, and see where that takes us. Look, I'm not comparing Ollie to Klopp at all. I think Klopp, you know, top 1-2 managers in the world at the moment, with Pep. So, okay, I'm not doubting what he's done, but this United side at the moment reminds me of that Liverpool team just before they signed Van Dijk and Alisson. Like, with a few signings away from maybe being the full article, but you still have to get judged on results, and that's the thing at United. To get that time, you have to get results, and we have to be able to improve from now to the end of the season. Because if it continues like this, it's going to tail off and be negative, where most of this season has been positive.
But out of interest, do you look at City, right, at the start of the 2010s, right? Mancini wins the Premier League. Following season, we come second to you, obviously, the Van Persie season and all that. And he gets sacked. And we were shocking in the Champions League. Pellegrini wins the Premier League. Following season, only wins the League Cup, gets the Champions League semi-final, and he gets sacked.
Shall I tell you why that happened? And I'll tell you why. Because people have used Lampard as an example of, oh, Chelsea look like they mean business. They sacked Lampard. But we haven't got owners that have actually conducted business in a way where they can go, we expect to win the league. So if you don't win the league, you're sacked. These owners have set up this club, so we're in a position where Champions League is enough. So, you know, they're not going to judge Ali on winning the league, because in the summer, they didn't go out full speed ahead to get Jadon Sancho. They didn't go and get the signings that we needed. Whereas Lampard got judged on that because Chelsea and Roman Abramovich went out as if we mean business, we're going to win the league. We've never done that under Oli. Never. We are building something, and that's what they will say they are doing. Whether it ends up in success and trophies, and I don't know. But I think he's earned the time to deserve to prove us right or wrong, I think.
I don't mind. I like the sound of that as a Man City fan. I like the there's nothing you can do as a fan that all you can say is on the pitch. Look, I'm not saying that you've got access to, like, you know, the capital City do, maybe even Chelsea do, but the 11 players.
But the thing is, we have, maybe not City. City's, you know, ridiculous when you look at their owners, but we have got money. Do you know what I mean? We have got money. It's just that they're not looking to win the league, so they're not gonna judge Oli on winning the league or not, and that's the sad state of affairs that we're in. If we had owners that were looking to win the league, then they could judge managers on that. So
I just think we had that debate. We had that debate on the kickoff a little bit about the Bruno stuff, and that's obviously, it could have been a bit of a wind up from my part, obviously. But ultimately, it's like, you look at Leicester City, you know, they got relegated. You look at the Chelsea side that had an old John Terry with Mourinho in his second stint, or even Victor Moses at right wing back. It wasn't ideal, and this United side, it's not an ideal side. But ultimately, if City,
I think the side's actually pretty fucking. I don't think the side's that bad. I just think that's the thing. Like, we have to be playing better football. That's for sure. I think a difficult thing has been time on the training pitch, but again, that's an excuse that you can't really use. Like, you know what I mean? You guys are, oh well, every team's in this position. We're playing against a Roy Hodgson team that's in this position, so we should be able to beat them. That's the fucked up thing, man. The points, you'll be happy to hear, but the points we've dropped against the teams we've dropped, it's not the big six that bother me. Are there any injuries for the City team coming into this? Are there any doubts? What kind of team are you expecting to see?
Do you know what? It's one of the worst things as a City fan is anyone who plays fantasy and you're a Man City fan, or do you know what I mean? It's just impossible to predict. I think the only one would be
Nathan. No, the riches of our squad. Please feel sorry for us. Fuck's sake.
I mean, I think the big one would be look, you can rotate Diaz, Stones, Laporte. We're obviously very lucky to have 3 world-class centre-backs, in my opinion. The full-backs. The big one's Aguero. You know, when does Aguero get a 90-minute game or a 65-minute game? And ultimately, he's not getting enough game time, really. Where you're thinking, for me, the big question mark is the Champions League semi-final, a Champions League quarter-final against Bayern Munich. Those big crunch games. It's all well and good playing a false 9 against, you know, Everton, for example, West Ham, and those defenders at that level are confused by that and they get pulled around by the movement. That's fair enough. But if you're playing against Bayern Munich, you're going to need to nick a goal at some point. You really are. And you look at some of the best sides from the Champions League in the last few years, they've still needed their best players or their best striker to nick goals out of nowhere. You know, you can't. It's very, very rare that a side wins the Champions League without a striker being able to just nick it. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the 1999 final, of course. Like, you need those little crunch moments, and Aguero is that one player we've got. I wouldn't trust Jesus at all in a Champions League. You know, that classic thing, like, would you trust your striker to run through on goal in a Champions League final? I wouldn't with Jesus or Sterling, to be honest, to finish that. With Aguero, you still would. He's one of the best finishers in the world.
Do you fear it's the last season for him?
Yeah, I do, really. I personally, I look at how you signed Cavani. He's the same age as Aguero, and Cavani's come in, and I think he's been pretty decent signing for you lot, and he's got no Premier League experience. And Aguero, for me, is the best Premier League striker of all time, and he's got.
He's not. Yeah. I think Aguero is great, by the way, and I've often said he's the best at a certain time in the league, but he's not the greatest of all time. Premier League, come on, man.
I think he's joint with Thierry Henry.
No.
Yeah.
Nah.
Me, Alan Shearer, you score 60 goals, you win 1 Premier League. It's just the rest of the goals against and
I don't think so, man.
Yeah.
I think Aguero's top notch, but he'd be top 10. Aguero's top 10.
Oh, come on. He's at least top 3.
No, I said he is top 10. He's not top 3. For me, you don't even go above Rooney or anyone like that.
I think Rooney's better. I don't think Rooney is. I don't class him as a striker, though. It depends how you do it.
Yeah, I know, but you have to, innit?
Yeah, if you put him as an attacking mid, I think Rooney, for me, he's probably top 3 influential Premier League players of all time. But Aguero is a better finisher than Rooney. Let's be completely real.
He's a great striker, Aguero. I just don't think he's a great striker. I just don't think he's top 3 or top 1, as you put him.
I just think he's one more better goal to game ratio than Henry. He's got more. He's the highest scorer of a foreign player ever. He's 7 behind Andy Cole in way less time.
Behind though.
Yeah, so he might not even get 7 goals, ironically, to get that. And you actually see the range of finishing. Scary good, mate. Can't believe that.
Nah, and he always fucking comes up good against us as well. I can remember a few goals from him against us. So I accept he's a fantastic striker, a great striker, but not top 1 or top 3.
but I mean, look, we don't have that in the squad. That kind of ability.
Well, do you think he'll start?
No, he's not starting. I want him to start. You got to force these guys, haven't you? You got to force Aguero and players that come back from injuries. Get them. You need to force them to get time. We've got an international break coming up, and then ultimately that could be the final 3 months of his career at City. And he's desperate to play. You can see it in him. I think he will be going in the summer. I hope they give him a 2-year deal. I think that's the most sensible thing to do. Where can you sign a player that can finish as good as Aguero? Maybe the movement's gone a little bit of the pace, but you can't sign these guys.
Pep wanted to let him go at the start, though, didn't he? So I can imagine if Aguero is no longer first choice, which I think if you had Aguero on the bench for a season, fucking hell, what a striker to have on your bench. But if he's no longer first choice, you can see him just going, all right, cool. I lasted longer than I maybe expected under Pep, and now I can go.
It's a shame because one of his best seasons was under the Centurion season for Pep, and he was unplayable, really. He was completely unplayable. And you do need someone to finish it off. David Villa, Thierry Henry, they both thrived at Barcelona with Pep. Sterling's still got issues with his finishing. Jesus, it's like one goal every 5 chances for Jesus. It really is, and Wolves was testament to that, really. And then what do you sign Haaland for 80 million quid? If you're signing a Haaland kind of player, obviously, that's a luxury. Then you do let Aguero go, of course. But if you can't sign someone like that financially, if it's not right for City to do that, just keep him. It's just dumb, innit? It's just dumb to let someone go too early, in my opinion.
Tell him to come to death row. We need a striker. What's your predicted 11 moves?
I think it'll be a Kyle Walker Cancelo at left back. I think Pep really cares about the Manchester derby like more than most games, even relative to how poor Man United have been recently. I think he'll go as strong as possible for this one and try and rest. We've got the likes of Fulham and Southampton coming up after that, so I think you do one more kind of game full strength for that with Cancelo, Walker, and then you do Diaz and Stones. I don't think I'm not a believer in rotating centre backs for the sake of it. Laporte's been coming in and out obviously in some of the lesser games, but this is, it's obviously one of the biggest games in the season for any City fan or any City team. So you do Diaz and Stones, obviously Ederson behind them, and then Rodri in midfield. He's been a revelation, really. I don't think there's been a player in the Premier League that can control a midfield as well as him in a very, very long time.
It's weird because I remember a period of time, I think it may have been at the end of last season or the start of this season, where there was a little bit of question marks and doubt around not just the whole of City, but Rodri and his role in the team, and he's got rid of them now.
Mate, he's firstly, people forget how young he is. He's 24, 25. He's got the physicality.
Well, you forgot how young he is there.
he's but like people
24,
think,
25.
You know what I mean? He's still so young and he's not even hit his prime yet. Yeah. And you think he's got the physicality, but ultimately the rhythm, the way he dictates a game, he is Busquets. He is the Premier League version of Busquets, and we've never seen a player like him control the game. It's a Scholes level kind of ability on the ball, and I'd say
it's not like you to get carried away now, is it?
not legacy yet, of course not. But we are seeing someone who just like a Carrick. He has the physicality of a Carrick. Obviously, Carrick's quite a tall midfielder as well, and he holds the ball so well, mate. And it's the rhythm of the ability to switch it first time. He'll get the ball and just move it first time. He can fit into centre back. It's scary how good he is, and then he allows obviously Gundogan and De Bruyne, who I think will start ahead of him, to just do what they want to do. De Bruyne was fantastic this week against Wolves. He's been fantastic since he's come back from injury. And him and Gundogan, I think you start those two. I think Bernardo Silva ran himself into the ground against Wolves. It was scary how far he was running. He must have covered about 12, 13 kilometres. It was ridiculous, really. So yeah, you play Gundogan and De Bruyne. I think that's the first choice, really, sort of attacking midfield option. You obviously bring Foden into this. I think he's got a pretty good record against United in terms of his. Even if he doesn't score, he obviously knows what the fixture means. It's important to have that in your squad. Sterling basically a shoe-in for this one as well. You obviously need a bit of pace. He's the one player with raw pace in this side, arguably, that will take a player down the line. I've probably not seen enough of it recently for my liking. I think Sterling's probably got a little bit too tricky in trying to maybe cut inside and be a bit too creative. That it's sort of in the middle of the park for me. I think he just needs to use his pace a bit more and just cut balls back. I think that's what he's world class at doing. And then Mahrez on the right. I think Mahrez has been unbelievable. I did a video about why I think we could win the Champions League, and if we're looking at it in a real kind of way, you need those individual players that are hard to mark. You don't know how to defend against. You think of Robben for Bayern Munich, for example, how he came up and scored against Dortmund in the final in 2013. Mahrez is a bit like that. He's a very individualistic kind of player, very unique, hard to defend against. And how he played against Wolves was mad. His first touch is scary. And he's one of those players, I'm sure United have got a ton of them, that just coast through the game. And City are lucky enough that we're so good, we provide him with an opportunity to shine. Last season, a couple of seasons, if he's not at it 100%, he can definitely coast. But man, he's in an unbelievable form. So you've got to start him against United, I think.
And with obviously City being in confident team at the moment, it helps players like Riyad Mahrez. Unfortunately, my team would be, I'm not sure. Hopefully, David De Gea and his family are all right. I'm not sure what's going on there. But it doesn't look like he'll be available for this one. Given what Ollie said, it kind of didn't hint at him returning anytime soon. So I think we'll see Dean Henderson in goal. So a big opportunity for him. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a gimme at right back. Luke Shaw at left back. Be interesting if he goes with the 3, maybe plays Alex Telles as well, which could be a possibility. Actually, given I've just thought of that now, I'll go Maguire, Bailly, Luke Shaw, Alex Telles, McTominay, Fred, Bruno, and then I think it'll be Cavani, Rashford. Like a 3-4-1-2.
It's so defensive though, mate, isn't it?
It is, but without Pogba, and I actually think it helps us be more attacking when we've got the ball, because we'll be able to get the wing backs further up the pitch a little bit more. Luke Shaw's been playing well. He can maybe go up a little bit as well from his position. But for me, McTominay and Fred, when they play, and I think McTominay's improved a lot as we've seen with his goals this season, but the quality of the passing isn't more. So I think if we can just set up a little bit, get the wing backs further up, set up a little bit different, because the last few games, we've not looked like scoring. We've not looked like creating anything. So, and I think this formation's worked well against City before. So let's see, because you ain't going to change.
No.
You're gonna have 60% of possession. You're gonna have 65% of possession.
Yeah, but are you advocating to park the bus, mate, or what?
That's not parking the bus, though. that's being able to soak up the pressure with the 3 there, and having enough at the back so your wing backs can get forward when you counter attack. And obviously, you can give the ball. McTominay or Fred can hopefully Fred couldn't pass Win the other day. Get the ball through to Bruno Fernandes, who can. We've got 2 strikers in that.
It's not bad, is it?
That's
2 strikers.
2 strikers.
Backs. What is it?
It's what we've got at the minute. If we had Pogba, I'd probably go Matic and Pogba, play a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
But without Matic played the other day, so I don't see him playing again. And without Pogba, I just can't see us doing that. In the future, I'd love to see us go to a 4-3-3, but we haven't got the players to do it. We need a proper number 6, man.
100%.
Proper number 6. It'll be all right. I'm not looking forward to this part. What's your score prediction, Boovy? Fucking hell, I was going to say something ridiculous.
It could be 4-0, mate.
Oh, God. To us.
If we show up, really, I mean, even the League Cup semi-final was a real statement, wasn't it? And that's part of the run as well. Obviously, beating you lot in that game. I'll actually have to go 4-0. We beat Wolves 4-1, and we were shocking for a large part of Wednesday. Not shocking.
I switched off that game after a bit. Does that happen 4-1 and that ended shit,
It's the final. I thought it was 2. Yeah, just kill teams.
I'm going for I genuinely wouldn't be shocked to see us win this game, and that's the kind of annoying team we are.
Yeah.
And then we'd be like, so we dropped points against Sheffield United, West Bromwich Albion, all these teams, Palace, and then we went and beat the best team in the league at the moment. That would be typical us. So I'm going for a 1-0 United.
I think we'll score.
It would be just typical of us to do that. I kind of don't want us to do that because it would just annoy me.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Still got mine there, 3-2, mate. The Pogba, Chris Smalling.
The 3-2.
Mourinho, do you remember that? Stopping us winning the league? Yes, yeah. Pogba,
that was a good game. Poor Pogba was class that day. We're going to miss him. But these are the games where we can say, we miss Pogba. Not against Palace, though, for fuck's sake. But yeah, thank you for joining us today, Boovy. Make sure you subscribe to Boovy's channel. The link's in the description below. I'm sure we'll only be going over there if United win on the weekend. So yeah, thank you for joining us, Boovy. You got anything coming up that you want to plug, give a shout out to, or apart from that video about you winning the Champions League? No one wants to hear that.
No, just tons of regular Man City content. Obviously, when we do get to that Champions League the season, I'm going to be live streaming that bad boy into the end of existence, mate. Do you know what I mean? If we get anywhere in the Champions League. But no, it's been fun making these videos as we do. Been on obviously one of the best records in the history of the Premier League. It's not bad, is it?
Yeah. Oh God, I gotta just say bye and thanks for just.
I got to plug it. Man. It's good. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, man. Thank you for joining us, Boobs. Guys, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment, and share, and keep it light. Get your predictions and your thoughts in below on everything we've discussed.